You're teed up for Golf News RI TV with your host, Joe Calabro, and his guests. We're talking everything golf around the region and on the tours. Now, here's your host, Joe Calabro.
Hey everybody, welcome to Golf News RI TV. I'm Joe Calabro, co-founder and CEO of Golf News RI. Hope everyone is having a great summer so far. This is show number 11. Unbelievable how fast the year is going by, but we still have plenty more to go. Today we're coming to you from Pawtucket Country Club, and the Rhode Island Junior Amateur matches are underway just behind us over here, and it's been a great event so far. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to do kind of a state of the state of junior golf in Rhode Island and beyond. The Junior Am, as I said, is going on here. The U.S. Boys and Girls Junior Ams just wrapped up within the last few weeks or so. So I thought this would be a cool opportunity to check in with junior golf in Rhode Island and across the country. And of course, when you do that, there's nobody better to talk to than Dave Adamonis of Challenge Cup, who's also the golf coach at Prout. So he comes from us from different facets of golf. But Dave, thank you so much for coming back on the show. You're our third repeat offender to go along with Rick Burke and Paul Quigley. So thanks for coming back on the show. And also, as always, thanks for all your support and all your help in me doing Golf News RI.
It's a pleasure to be on, and that's an esteemed group of people to be a part of. So thanks for having me on, and looking forward to chatting with you for the next half hour or so.
Junior golf is always at an interesting place. Golf is at an interesting place, not only in Rhode Island, but everywhere. Clubs are packed, wait lists everywhere. But I just wanted to, we'll start in general, and then we'll get specific later on. But just in general, what would you say that the state of junior golf is in Rhode Island right now?
There's been two eras since I've been running the Challenge Cup that we've had an explosion. And the first one was with Tiger Woods, and that was insane. How our numbers exponentially changed. And then honestly, COVID really changed the makeup for everybody in the landscape of golf. Golf was not in a very good place prior to COVID. And, COVID hit and everybody was stuck in their house and really didn't have anything to do. And they ended up coming back out here to the course. And, it's kind of hard to equate whether those numbers are consistent with the Woods era, but they're pretty close. And I think more so is that it's not just juniors that are playing this game, it's everybody. There's been an explosion of everybody playing, and most of the clubs around this area, I think, would let you know that they're in a pretty good place as far as the number of members that they have. It makes a little bit more of a challenge for anybody who's running tournaments as far as the access piece, because members want to play their course and want to utilize their course. But, we're pretty fortunate. I think, Bob Ward's got a pretty good relationship with the clubs that he works with, and everybody is still supporting the game from a competitive standpoint, but it definitely makes it a little bit more challenging.
The thing with COVID was here in Rhode Island is that golf never closed. Other states, you couldn't even play golf.
Yeah.
But here in Rhode Island, golf was like the only thing you could do. But I launched this right during COVID, so it was like either the dumbest entrepreneur move of all time or it ended up working out. But that was the other thing too, just to call up on the COVID point, that it never closed in Rhode Island. That was the only thing you could do.
Yeah, the crazy thing was I was itching. Our schedule, we're so heavy in the spring, getting the kids out, and really, as I like to say, shed rust. I think we run maybe about 13 tournaments before the kids even get out of school. And so I was itching to get back out on a golf course. And, we ended up, I think we were probably maybe the second association in the country to actually run a golf tournament during COVID. So, we ran an event in May. There was I want to say it was called the Outlaw Tour in Arizona. That was a professional tour, and they were running tournaments. And, I was looking and I'm like, well, who's restricting me from running a tournament? As an example, every state had different laws really as to how they were treating golf. Massachusetts was probably the most restrictive out of anybody. Rhode Island wasn't too bad. Connecticut was pretty much almost paid. We're still playing golf and letting people play golf, So it was a crazy era, but it was good for the game. And, right now, our numbers, you talk about wait lists and clubs and all that other stuff. Every tournament that we're running, we have a wait list of 70, 80, 100 kids. And we're running tournaments with, we ran a tournament at Agawam 2 weeks ago, 176 players. Just ran a tournament at Wampanoag in Connecticut, 138 players. And, we have wait lists through the roof. So, I personally like to have everybody play, but that's just it's not possible when you have 300 kids sign up for an event. But we're very, very fortunate, that we have a great group of courses that support what we do.
So golf in general is in a great place. That's enough of the reminiscing about COVID. I think no one wants to hear about that anymore. Yeah. But it is a pivotal point in golf, at least locally. It's interesting how that works. That people in the golf community still talk about the impact of COVID and are still feeling it in a lot of ways, as you mentioned. So I want to get to some other things. I want to start with high school season. It was obviously ended a few months ago. It's old news by now, but I think it's a good jumping off point for what we want to get into later in the show. This year in high school, you had Drew McLeod winning the boys' state title and Adriana Eaton running away with the girls' state title. She won by like 10 or 15 shots or something crazy, and it wasn't even that close. Yeah. She shot 66 in the first round. From that perspective, what do you make of those two victories and kind of the high school season in general? Obviously, LaSalle is a big story on the team side for those that are interested in that.
LaSalle's a tough mountain to climb. We had some high expectations with my team, and unfortunately, we played our worst golf at the end of the season. Our worst total was in the final round of the tournament, and during the final round of the tournament, through 4 holes, we actually were leading the team piece of it. But they're just stocked and they just keep reloading. And you have Nate Jackson, who just doesn't play a ton of golf. He's the other Jackson, Max's brother. And, he had a nice run here at the Rhode Island Junior, and he wasn't even a big fixture on their team. Coach had a tough decision to make and didn't even put him in the lineup. And if he put him in the lineup, they would have actually had a better score. So he played as an individual at the state tournament. So that just gives you an example of really the wealth of what LaSalle has. And they just keep coming. And on the girls' side, Adriana's victory was all the more impressive because Rhode Island is a very strong strong female contingent of players. So what she's done over the course of this year has been really good.
And she's playing in the Junior PGA Championship as we speak. Her and Drew actually are both playing in the Junior PGA Championship. So they're not at the Rhode Island Junior, unfortunately. But how does the high school golf season, how do you see it in the minute that we have left for this segment? How do you see the high school season translating into, or does it translate into summer play, Challenge Cup play?
I think it does for a faction of players. There's a group of players who want to keep playing golf. They want to get better. And I think one of Steve White's recipes to success was he kept getting beat by Rick Angeli and Hendricken. And he was looking at what's the difference between Hendricken and LaSalle. And the difference is Rick had all of his kids, when he was coaching at Hendricken, he had all his kids playing the summer schedule with us. So he really got his kids to buy into that philosophy. And I think more kids are seeing that if you want to be successful at the high school level, then you got to do something during the summer as far as competing goes.
All right, we're going to have more with Dave Adamonis on the state of our junior golf here in Rhode Island. Coming up next on GolfNewsRI TV. Welcome back to GolfNewsRI TV. I'm Joe Calabro here today at Pawtucket Country Club and the Rhode Island Junior Amateur. Going on behind this, matches are wrapping up in both the boys championship division and the girls championship division. So it's been a great week so far, warm week so far. Here at Pawtucket, to say the least, but always fun to watch the matches and cover it. So earlier in the tournament, I talked with Joey Echefano, who's back up here. He played in the Rhode Island State Am a few weeks ago, and now he's playing in the Junior Am. Echefano has been on a roll for the last year plus. He won a high school championship down in Florida with Oxford Academy. He beat Charlie Woods' Benjamin School. He's finishing high in AJGA events and another big-time junior events across the country. And so it's fun to talk to him, talk about travel, talk about high school and everything else. So here's my interview with Joey Echefano.
Joey Echefano has been on a hell of a run over the last year. A high school state championship down in Florida and high finishes at AJGAs and other elite junior events across the country. Despite the success, he still enjoys coming back to Rhode Island to compete.
It definitely means a lot, especially since this is where I grew up. And this is kind of one of my first tournaments I ever played in, where I started my first one at Kirkbride, and it always just means a lot to come back here every year and try to play the best I can.
Echefano played in both the Rhode Island State Amateur and Junior Amateur, making runs into match play in both events. Add that on top of his other big finishes, and he can see his game is coming along.
It's grown insane amount, I would say, even in the past, even 8-9 months. A lot of even up and downs, especially from fall to like winter, and then now, because fall playing good, game was kind of a little down during winter, but now it's coming back, and just back even like better than I even was playing in the fall.
Ochefano's game is growing, and so are his frequent flyer miles. Just over the last few weeks, he has played in Alabama and Tennessee, earning high finishes in both events. After the Junior Am, he will be on the road to Nashville for the Granny Invitational.
It feels kind of weird, especially just being so many different hotels, and then a couple times even not being able to even see some of my friends for like months. But besides that, I love traveling kind of around. You even get to see some nice places, get to play some nice courses, which is a big thing for me. Get to play like, when I play in the Western, that's like a really exclusive course. You really can't get on it. So like, I always kind of feel like, is even sometimes where I feel like I'm away, like just to enjoy all the tournaments I get to play in, because like sometimes like don't know if you're gonna play it again next year.
But the highlight of Ochefano's year so far was leading Oxbridge Academy to a high school golf state championship down in Florida. Ochefano finished second overall and brought the program their first ever state title.
Yeah, that was probably the big thing of the year, because that was our first boys state championship in any sport at our school. So to bring one to the school definitely means a lot to me.
Ochefano and Oxbridge Academy will be hoping to repeat that success just a few months from now. But until then, Ochefano will be looking to add a few more trophies to the collection.
All right, that was Joey Ochefano with me here at the Junior Am. Again, it was good to catch up with him. Again, he's had so much success down in Florida and across the country, really.
Yeah, I think he's going to have some good looks as far as the Division I colleges. And, I've talked to a few coaches, and I think he's in a pretty good place. He has a really nice game. And, even though they are primarily Floridians, I still think that, a big part of the family feels like Rhode Island is home for him, and that's why they come up here during the summer. They want to support Rhode Island golf, and Joey's had a great history of playing in our IGA tournaments, and it's a neat story. I have a lot of fond memories. I grew up playing junior golf with Joey, and I know most of our best players that play Challenge Cup, they want to play against the best and beat the best. So, I think it's a nice flair for the tournament.
But I asked him about, rankings, like AJGA rankings and these rankings, that rankings, because it's such a big part of getting into some of these tournaments.
It sure is.
And I asked him, I said, do you like follow this stuff closely? Do you pay attention to like what you're ranked or whatever? And he said that he stopped following it after like the Orange Bowl, because he said he just was a distraction. He just wants to go and play and try to obviously win.
I think in golf, they tell us to play one shot at a time. And I think if you actually do focus on those rankings, it makes it difficult to focus on just being an executor, right? Because that's really what we're trying to do. We play our best golf when we go out and just execute. And that happens over the course of, I hit the first shot, I go play the second shot, and I'm trying to execute the next shot.
Because kids or their parents have come up and asked me about what should their kid play in this event versus that event.
There's an alphabet soup, I would say, of junior golf, NEPGA, American Junior Golf Association, AJGA, right? Every area has a PGA section. You have U.S. Kids. Now you have the PGA has created a junior league for kids to get introduced to the game. So for kids that are just cutting their teeth and trying to play the game, the PGA Junior League is a great spot. U.S. Kids, their model's a nice model. The one thing I don't like about their model is I feel like there's too much parental involvement. I personally believe that your growth, not only as a golfer, but as a person, is going to happen when you become responsible for your actions, meaning that you learn how to hit a shot and know, okay, this is what I have to do to make that shot, the next shot better. You know how to keep someone's score. You know how to keep your own score. You know some of the rules of golf instead of having a parent do everything for you. I feel like there's a better involvement as you as an individual, the sooner that you break away from that. But they run a great schedule of tournaments. Their national tournament is unbelievable. The World Championship is unbelievable at Pinehurst. So those for younger kids, I think, are good places for them to get involved. PGA section serves a great purpose in PGA and the U.S. Challenge Cup. We have a good synergy. We both coexist here in New England. And I would say we're pulling from a different group of players and also a larger geographical group. So consequently, our fields are typically going to be a little bit better. And I mean, the coup de grace is American Junior Golf Association. That's where everybody wants wants to play their game and show off their skills if they're capable of doing that. That's probably the best ticket for you to be able to play on a college team somewhere.
All right, we'll wrap up with Dave Adamonis and acknowledge some club champions next on GolfNewsRI TV. Welcome back to GolfNewsRI TV. I'm Joe Calabro. Thanks to everybody for following and supporting GolfNewsRI over the years. I really appreciate it. And also thanks to all the sponsors. We're here today at Pawtucket Country Club in the Rhode Island Junior Am, doing a little state of the state of RI Junior Golf with Challenge Cup's Dave Adamonis. Nobody better to talk to about this stuff than him. And Dave, so thank you so much for coming on. We were talking before the break about how to decide what tournaments to play in and what it all means or could mean. And I just think that's such an interesting topic because the kids now, especially once you get to start looking at colleges and trying to go to college, sometimes those tournaments, it matters which ones you play in.
Oh, sure. Obviously the higher profile event, the more that you're going to have college coaches at the event. So for example, biggest event of the season really for college coaches is they'll go out to the U.S. Junior. And if you play well at the U.S. Junior, that's a ticket to usually a top 50 school. Last year, Josiah Hockla, who was from New Hampshire, he, went to the U.S. Junior and he kind of had a breakout performance, and he went from anonymity to really having, some pretty good opportunities. So it's pretty telltale what can happen if you go play well there. But the bigger the stage, obviously, the greater chance that you're going to be recognized for what you've been doing on the course.
What if you go to a bigger stage event and you don't play well, you just don't have a day?
Well, I think
is the fact that you're still playing on you're still essentially qualified, because most of these places have qualifiers. You can just walk on. This fact that you just qualified for that bigger stage, does that help? Even if you don't play necessarily well?
I think just getting to a U.S. Junior or to a U.S. Amateur is a tall accomplishment. Obviously you don't want to finish last, right? One of those events. But I think if you finish in the middle of the pack, I think it's still pretty impactful as far as how coaches look at, you as a player. I always try to tell the kids just remain focused, that a coach isn't looking at one round of golf. They're really kind of looking at a big picture. And if you can get some eyeballs on you, they're probably not even really looking at what your golf capabilities are, because if they're already looking at you, they like what your scores represent. It's more about what you represent, the rest of the package. So, but it's a super competitive environment, especially with some of the changes that have been made through, all this nil money and stuff like that. It's impacted all the other sports, so it's really kind of changed the game a little bit.
All right, what do you have? Challenge Cup season still going strong. I love covering Challenge Cup events. I've been to a handful of them already this year, this summer. And what do you have coming up? What can people look forward to with Challenge Cup?
Well, we have the world's biggest golf party coming up on August 13th and 14th at Connecticut National Golf Course. Just fabulous owners there. Jim Dandenau is a dear friend of mine, and his son played in our tournaments, and Brad Rabitor has kind of taken over the reins there, and Jim West, who's a dear friend of mine, runs the place. And, they let us have over 200 golfers play in a tournament that has a junior division, a collegiate division, an open division, and then the girls also have their own separate division too. So it's a who's who really of New England golfers that'll be playing in that event. Really all better players will flock to play in that tournament. It'll be a good time, and be some little scores at that event too.
Awesome. Can't wait. Looking forward to covering. We'll have content related to it as well. Should be a great event. But Dave, thank you so much for coming on.
Pleasure. It's always good seeing you.
Appreciate your help and everything. Before we sign off here, I want to acknowledge some club champions. Club championships are a huge part of golf, and we enjoy covering them. We want to acknowledge some club champions. We have a graphic coming up. If you're not on this graphic, check again next week. We'll keep doing this until we try to get everybody. You can only fit so many names in a graphic, so I can't get everybody at once. But just to hit on a handful, Travis Tucker takes the Fenner Hill Club Championship. Brad Valois with a big win at the Alpine Country Club Club Championship. You got to acknowledge Michelle Umbriano winning the Alpine Ladies Club Championship just a few weeks after doing GolfNewsRI TV. So I'm just saying. Ty McCormick won the Kirkbride Club Championship. Adriana Eaton retained the Kirkbride Ladies Club Championship. Joe LaValle over at King's Crossing got a win in the Men's Club Championship there. Shailene Clark got the Ladies Club Championship at King's Crossing. And Josh Mercera just recently got the Cranston Country Club Championship. So congrats to all the club champions. At the end, I think club championships are a huge part of golf, and especially in Rhode Island, but everywhere. And we like to acknowledge them and try to give them their due. So congrats to everybody. Again, if you didn't see your name on this week's graphic, check again next week. Again, you can only fit so many names on the graphic. So we're going to get to everybody, don't worry. So keep coming back for more. But that's all we got for GolfNewsRI TV. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time. I'm Joe Calabro. Bye.
You've been watching GolfNewsRI TV with host Joe Calabro.